People often ask me if I miss playing tennis. The truth? Not really. But what I did miss was having a clear mission, knowing exactly what I was waking up for every day. And now after 6 months at a startup, I feel like I'm playing tennis at the highest level again. Hey, I'm Rahul. I played tennis for over 10 years and eventually competed at an international level. And now I work for a fintech travel startup here in Sydney called Slice. My dad used to tell me you'll carry everything you learnt in tennis into your work one day. But honestly, I never really understood that until now. When I was playing tennis, the mission was simple. Win more matches, play tougher opponents, play higher level tournaments, improve your ranking, climb. It was such a linear pathway. And every time you win, there'd be a bigger and badder boss to face. So how do you stay on the mission? We'd start by having long-term goals and then setting milestones along the way. It could be like going from being ranked top 50 in Australia to being top 5 in Australia in 3 years. And those big ambitious goals we'd start with, and then we'd find milestones that we need to hit along the way to try and get there. And so if I was to start from the bottom, it'd be, what do you need to improve to win more matches? And then from there, how many matches or what tournaments do you need to play to get enough points so that you can improve your ranking? And then how can we hit milestones with our rankings to get to where we want to be in 3 years? And that kind of reverse engineering was only possible because the mission was so clear on where we wanted to go. I'm finding it's the same thing here working at Slice. When the mission is clear, everyone from all the other departments, finance, operations, growth, engineering, everyone can come together and have clear sense of direction. And that's when you can get everyone rowing in the same direction. And so clarity at the top creates direction for everyone else. But one thing I've realized in both tennis and startups is that progress isn't linear. Some days you feel amazing, you're in the flow, things are clicking, and other days you are stuck so deep in the weeds. And so if the mission is the macro, the big picture, then the daily tasks, the check-ins, whatever you have to do on a daily basis is the micro. It can be really hard to see if you're actually moving the needle when you're zoomed in on the micro. Recently, I've been working on a project at Slice, and I've spent so many days just in the weeds, debugging and trying to solve problems that at the time, it doesn't feel like you're moving the needle in anything. And the same thing used to happen in tennis. You'd tweak something small and then you'd plateau for weeks, thinking that the improvement will come, but you just don't see anything really changing. And then you realize something is brewing underneath. And that's why I'm learning to zoom out once in a while, because the biggest shifts, they're the ones you only really notice when you look back. So how do you stay on the mission, especially when progress isn't linear? Something I've come to value a lot more working here at Slice is the power of iteration. Let's take running ads for example. We'll launch it, we'll test the messaging, see what resonates, we'll see what doesn't, and then we'll go back and try and fix, maybe it's the format, maybe it's the messaging, maybe it's the ad description. And there are all these different things that you can break it down into why is this resonating and why is it not, so that you can iterate and just make it better and better and better. And that's kind of the process I'm trying to take and implement into everything. And so it's a cycle: build, ship, review, adjust, and repeat. It's so rare when we try something new and it actually works out the first time. And honestly, that's the exact same way we'd approach it when we played tennis. We used to talk about getting 1% better every day. That was the goal. It could be in the gym, could be on court, didn't matter, but every day we're just trying to squeeze a little bit more and a little bit more out. And that comes from showing up, making small minor tweaks, and then stacking those improvements over time. What I've noticed is that being in a high performance environment really helps growth. In a high performance environment whether it's sports or startups, growth is not optional. Growth is the cost of staying in the room. At Slice, being around some super knowledgeable, driven, ambitious people forces everyone to actually raise their level together. And as someone who's probably more junior than most, I'm learning that you don't have to be the smartest, fastest, most experienced person in the room. That's the point. Being surrounded by high performers forces you to grow and adapt and change with everyone. Right now really reminds me of the times when I used to train with guys like Rinky Jakarta and Alex Vukic, who are now, they're both top 100 in the world ATP, so they're killing it on the tennis tour. There were a lot of sessions where I really couldn't keep up with these guys. It was really uncomfortable at the time, and I felt like this huge imposter syndrome there, like I shouldn't be with these guys, but that was actually where the growth happened. You're essentially able to steal things that they do really well and adapt them in your own game. For example, when it's 40 all, 4 all in the third set, like how are they approaching that situation? What are their routines in between points? Things like that, like they've probably had a lot more experience, and so by observing and learning from people in that high performance environment, that's how you can take other people's learning and mesh them into your own. To me, being in a high performance environment is where you're around people that stretch you, support you, and hold you to a really high standard. And then I swear it's hard not to get better. You know, from observation, the best teams aren't the ones that are all-inclusive and feel the nicest. They're the ones that operate with trust, communication, and incredibly high standards. You know, I've read about companies like Netflix that talk about, we're a sports team, not a family. And the more I think about that, the more it actually makes so much sense. In a sports team, everyone has a role, a purpose, and like some level or specific contribution to the team. Some players are rookies learning the ropes like myself, and others are veterans that maybe have a lot more experience and are leading from the front. In a sports team, everyone has a role, a purpose, and something they're contributing to the team. But I see it as everyone is expected to perform. It's a role-playing meritocracy. And that's what creates a really high-performance environment, it seems, especially in startups. So yeah, those are some of the key things I've been thinking about in terms of what I can actually take and pull from the time I played tennis and actually implement in startups. And so I'm realizing there are so many things that are actually very similar, and it's very cool to be in a similar environment again. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.